All right, good morning. Today is it. This is the last day to present. Are you ready? You're so ready. Couple of things. One, so I actually want feedback. Can you get out a piece of folder paper, scratch paper, something? And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 presenters. Is Celeste here? Did anybody? Oh, I see a bag. So. Right. And I'm looking for 3, 2, 1 on your paper. So three things you learned from the presentations today. And you're going to do one for each presenter. Donation. Oh, she is here. Yay. Good morning, Celeste. Two things that you enjoyed. So 3, 2, 1, 2 things that you enjoyed about the presentation and 1 question. And it says that you didn't get to ask. So that means then at the end of the presentations that make sure that you ask your questions. 3, 2, 1. Hold on a second.
If you ever run through these, I forgot to grab something that I printed real quick.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Morning bulletin is as follows. Nothing new. The varsity softball is still conditioning, the Yale Summer Global Scholar Singapore program, the JABSOM UH Manoa deadline, UH New Warrior scholarships. I know I've been sending the letters of Rex to Ms. Ni'i today. And other scholarships list check on Naviance. Reminder, tomorrow and Thursday schedules are switched. So Wednesday will be a Thursday schedule. You'll get out of school at 2:35 p.m. Thursday is a Wednesday schedule. You'll get out at 2:11. There is CAP. Did you know that? There's CAP on Thursday, which is Wednesday's schedule. The surprise evacuation, if I could tell you, even though I think it's posted on our website, right? It's always on the last day of school. So wear comfortable shoes because we're walking for. Is it first or second period?
I heard it's first.
I heard 2 things. I heard it's first period. I heard it's second period. Is that the surprise? That's okay. Yes, we are having a celebration. So we'll start a potluck celebration sign-in sheet for potluck. Did you get your things? Okay. We could do it on Edmodo. You're so smart. That would be good. But then we'd have it I guess so. That'll be your reminder, right? Thank you. Potluck reminder on Edmodo. Okay. I wouldn't know how to assess that, right? So char siu bao gets 10 points. Orange sherbet drink punch gets 40. How do you assess that? What are you assessing? Oh, like a whole pint. Hey, oh, I get it. All right. Our first presenter will be Austin, and then after Austin we'll have Ramsey, and then Rose, and then Celeste. Yes? Girls, please come in quickly. And what am I looking for? Austin said he put it on Edmodo. Right there. Okay. Are you ready? It's your presentation, yes. Girls, if you just walked in, then I'm looking for on a piece of folder paper for each presenter. 3, 2, 1. 3 things you learned from the presentation, 2 things that you enjoyed about it, and 1 question that you did not get the chance to ask the presenter. What am I looking for?
Aloha. Rose
Wait. Hold on. Let Ivy have a seat, and then let me grab my assessment paper. Come on, sit. Can I sit on this side?
Hello, students. I had the book A Tale of Two Cities, and I just wanted to share what I felt about the book in a video form, just explain the book and how it had these standards. Okay, so there's no video.
Whatever happened to me?
Oh, hello there. You just interrupted me. I was reading my favorite book, A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. You look pretty intrigued. Should I tell you more? I'll take you on an educational ride. Watch your step. Oops. Sorry, I like to read. Take a seat. Get comfortable. It's gonna be a while. I'll tell you why I love this book. I'll tell you why. See, for me, this book shows signs of the language of English, science and technology, and social studies. All in one. And I hold that close to my heart. So I hold myself up to a high set of standards. Let's talk about English. Let's start with English. You know why? Because this book was written in English. What a language, right? He wrote this book. He had two themes. He talked about resurrection and duality. Before anything else, let me tell you about the story. So, A Tale of Two Cities references the two cities where this book takes place, being London and Paris, Britain, France. Two different cities, right? Our main character in this book, his name is Sidney Carson. And he's a good-for-nothing guy. He doesn't care about himself. He's jealous of the people that are better than him and the people that he wants to be, but he's just too sad and drunk all the time. He does not care. So he's sad. He's miserable and he hates it. And he loves people, but he's like, no one's gonna like me. I'm lame. And he kind of is. Now, while Mr. Sidney Carson is changing, the political turmoil in these two cities is erupting with social issues. That's why we take place in the French Revolution. And Charles Dickens puts us in the view of the people witnessing this social change, this revolutionary movement, this changing of society as a whole. See, in France, they were fighting back against the powers that be. And they ended up changing it, but now without a little bit of sacrifice. And Charles wrote about that. He wrote about a lot. That's why I love him so much. He always writes about things that are close to him. Well, let's start. Let's do something. Let's talk about the topic of English, right? The topic of English, right? So that English is a language. We all know. We speak it. I speak I'm speaking right now. Well, okay. This is just good. So when we're talking about English, I want to talk about the themes that Charlie talks about. So the two themes that Mr. Dickens talks about is this theme of resurrection and also duality. Now, he starts the whole book in the very famous lines. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. And he goes on for like a page of just saying the two things, they're opposite, if they're cohesive. He's talking about how the difference, this duality, these two completely different things form together to create one perfect union. The two cities, right? The yin and the yang, going together, harmonious. Hey, focus. The rambling? Okay, fine, move on. So the next topic, resurrection. And he takes us through this journey with the character. We're learning to grow with the character of Sidney Carton, right? Mr. Carton, the good for nothing drug. But by the end of the story, it's kind of this heroic figure for the people. He's sacrificed on the guillotine in front of the French people, and he's like, why is he there? No one knows. So Mr. Dickens takes us on this resurrection kind of thing. Spoiler alert, he kills Sidney right there, just chops his head off. And then you see that the French people are kind of imbued with this sense of belief and hope, saying like, wow, this man can die for us. This man from London who had nothing to do with us is willing to die for our rights, our social issues that we believe in. And it really brought like a sense of resurgence into them, which caused them to complete this revolution that they started, this social movement that had depth, a large scale, and leadership. The three keys to the social movement, according to Mr. Ito. He was focused on these themes. He connected it to like, real things that we can see in the real world. But wait, now let's move on to science and technology in a book written about the 1700s. What are you looking down at? Now let's break down. Let's get technical with Mr. Dickens' work. So if I was not ready to break down this book, let's get technical with it. Ready? So if I were to draw a conclusion from this book, I would say that the two cities represent the differences in the characters, right? Just like how England saved France from utter chaos when they went through that guillotine phrase. Just how Sidney, a man from London, saved Charles Darnay by sacrificing himself. Okay. That's deep. That's deep. I think like a man writing books, how did he come up with stuff like that? He just, on a whole other level, intellectually. There I go again, spreading my love for Mr. Dickens. Just not Charlie too much. So I chose this book. I just love it too much. That's beautiful. See, he read the writings of this man who wrote about witnessing the French Revolution. He took that and was like, wow, I'm inspired. And he writes about it. And I read about his writings. And I'm like, Charles, this sucker is pretty rad. It's pretty dope. All this social issues and injustices going on. And wow, really picking my brain here. Making me want to, I don't know, go to France, say what's up, hello, you know? So thanks, Mr. Charles. Thanks for that. Did you notice these books there? They're rushing. This is my favorite girl. Oh yeah, back to this one. Sorry, French. Got it. Historically, the French Revolution is an exciting time in world history, where we see French people inspired by the American Revolution to fight for their rights and what they believe in. Now, Charles Dickens grew up later. He didn't really know about this period it happened before his time. So he had an account that he read, which was Thomas Carlyle's account of this happening. He wrote about it, he read it, and he's like, wow, I'm gonna write a book about this. I'm gonna make millions, I'm gonna make bank, I'm gonna be so rich.
Is that easy to project out?
Now, many writers look to this book because Charles Dickens wrote so vividly of how revolutions happen, what they look like, and how they affect people. And in this book, that I've read before thousands of times, he goes into each character in depth and shows how it's affected them, how it's changed them, how a revolution in the country really revolutionized their inner self. You know? And I think that's happening in the world today. Really, we're all changing, and the world around us is changing. And some of us don't want to change, but we really need to.
What is that?
So in conclusion, it's just what I want to talk to you about. I'm glad you took this journey with me. I'm so glad you're here to witness me explaining this book in detail to you. Go to your local library, pick it up, read it, bottom line, ask me, I have it. I have the book. You need to read it, everyone should read it. It's a very good book. Mr. Charles Dickens is a pretty famous guy. He wrote things like Huckleberry Finn. It gets different every time. Because there's new pages, some conclusion. I'm glad we shared this time together. I'm glad I took you here. Just for me to really just let it all out and thank you. How much I love this book. How much I enjoy it. It's really a piece of history. A piece of French revolutionary history. Thanks for listening. Thanks for taking this time to listen to me. Awesome love. And I'm just saying, I'm going to just go on with the rest of your day. Have a beautiful day. And a beautiful life. And I'll see you soon. Let's go.
Austin, please take the front of the class and see if your peers might have some questions for you.
I hope you enjoyed that. I made that with help from Sophia. Any questions for you?
Where did you get the idea to do that type of video?
Just kind of impromptu, just had a good idea. I was watching like Drunk History.
Yeah, oh my god, I love that show. What? Oh yeah.
Any other questions? I see my None fruit jar.
That's my grandpa's.
It's healthy.
How long did it take you to film?
Like an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not bad. But then we filmed the intro like a separate day.
Yeah.
Oh, we were filming the intro, and okay, so I was filming Austin, and like we didn't start filming yet, and then this lady was like walking behind him, but like the background was like blurred out, and then she like walks around, and then she's like, "Did you just take a picture of me?" And like I was like, "Oh no, this is a school project, like no, we didn't, like you can like review the footage," and she's like, "Okay," and then she takes out her phone and takes a picture of me, and then takes a picture of Austin. And then runs away. And she was like 40. Ooh, nice.
I didn't know how you feel about that, right? So someone's taking a photo of you filming because they think that it's important when they don't even know its ramifications. The idea of, you guys possibly being a celebrity and being in on it. That's kind of scary. Austin, question on the science and technology standards. So could you repeat that or just re-summarize those points again? What were your standards? And then as far as the whole, Mark Twain, Huck Finn thing, that was a joke, right?
That was a joke.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify because I seen Amy tossed her head and she was like, no! But it was a joke. Thank you.
It was funny.
Yeah. Okay. It was funny.
I wanted it to be just like funny. But the science and technology, I just talked about the history and then how he wrote about his account of Thomas Carlyle's account, which Charles Dickens read. That Thomas Carlyle wrote about the French Revolution in depth, like all these things that happened, how it started, what it caused the revolution. So Charles Dickens read that, and then he wrote this story based on that.
And then for those of us not sitting in Mr. Kika's, is it psychology? Sociology class, can you summarize again? So what were the three keys?
Social movement needs is leadership, depth, and a large scale. Wait, no, it was three.
Three.
Leadership, depth, and a large scale. So like depth means you have to have a good reason to start a social movement, to start a change.
Right.
And then he covers all this.
So what type of movement is it?
Revolutionary.
That was good.
How much of a script did you have?
Oh, you see the thing on the bottom?
I know. How closely were you following that, and how much that was
Zero.
just you?
Did you mess up a lot or no?
No.
No?
All the best stuff are funny, okay? It's like bloopers. We filmed 17 minutes total, and we cut down to 12.
Very efficient.
So was that like a documentary style?
Yeah, mockumentary.
Mockumentary, thank you.
Nice,
That's-
nice.
I hope it was funny.
That was very entertaining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. I know, right? I don't know.
You are invited to the front.
Charles, are you ready? Oh, that's so nice. You're invited to a party. When is it? When is it? Tomorrow.
Can I use the iPad?
Yes. Or is your on there as well? Oh my God. Sorry, wait, hold on. Don't look at the scores. Is it on here? Did you turn it into Edmodo?
It's not turned into Edmodo. Is there a Google document or a Google Drive? I can. There it is. Perfect. I can.
Once you log in, then hook it back up. Hook this back up so that people don't see your login.
Okay, it'll change screens.
Yes. Okay.
Maybe fourth period today. No, third period tomorrow.
Did you write your 3 things? 3, 2, 1? Do you want to pass these back to Austin so that he may see? And it's optional to write your name on it, but it's kind of nice if they have follow-up questions for you. If you can pass your slips back to Austin so he can read them. Oh, you got them? Oh, it's just yours. He doesn't have.
Do you have tags that I could use? I forgot mine at home.
Will those poster things, those little clip things work? Oh, for here. Possibly, yes.
that doesn't matter. You just have to get it into Maya so that she can, like, it's all chat.
Are you turning in your research thing?
I did most of that.
You did?
The novel notes.
The novel note evidence, and then I also, for the approval of the three-way.
Supplement questions, I
Yeah.
put it on it's on the bottom of my evidence.
Okay.
Is
Got
that
it.
okay?
Yeah. I haven't looked at it yet, but okay. I just wanted to make sure because they.
Yeah. The
Or my
supplement,
evidence
my
was
supplement
just,
question.
because like mine was
You're Reagan and do a lot of theirs, but I put mine on the bottom of my evidence.
Okay. And then, do you need a pass to come back for period 2?
I already talked to this kid. He good.
No. If
Because
he's.
there's a final today, so I have to be here. We have a final next class. But
Oh.
I'm taking it tomorrow. So
Are you sure?
I talked to him already.
Oh wow. Okay. Thanks. Oh, I owe him big time. Okay. Are you guys ready? Ramsey is up here and he is ready.
Okay, so before I present and talk about my book, I'm going to talk about my physical project and kind of like the struggle I had making it, because I think that's the main problem I had with my project. Okay, so first of all, when I proposed this project, I was going to make a sword out of iron or steel because you can buy it really cheap for about $15 a pound, I think. But then I didn't factor into the fact that I'm not a blacksmith, and to make a sword like that is thousands and thousands of dollars, even if it's a really simple, small, just a model of a sword. So then I was like, you know, what's cheaper than metal? Clay. So just about every you could get clay in a shop in Hawaii, and they were like, hey, how can we help you? I was like, I'm trying to make a sword out of clay. And they just started laughing, so that didn't really work. So I went to Ben Franklin's and I found they had their own kind of clay, and it was great because I was like, oh my god, you don't have to put it in your oven, my oven's not going to explode, and I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So supposedly you make it, and for 24 hours it air dries into a piece of like ceramic work. I'm like, this is great. So over the weekend, I made my project, and it was amazing. It was clay, I had it perfect, it was great. I woke up the next morning and it melted. Apparently, it wasn't cold enough for it to dry, I guess. I have no idea. So, last night, I did it again.
You did it?
As you can see, it's not colored. It's honestly, it's terrible. I had to get something. I was really pissed that it had melted. I woke up and I was like, where's it at? It's dry. Oh, it's melted on the floor. Oh, that's okay. So anyway, that's just like an example of how the creative process is like nothing how you plan it is going to go exactly right. And in my case, it's not talking about. So, something a lot better and a lot more fun to talk about. So, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Odyssey before. It was written by Homer. It's considered one of the greatest pieces of literature of all time. It's the sequel to the Iliad, also written by Homer. Now, this is more fictional than the Iliad. The Iliad is more about the Battle of Troy and cause and effect. There are elements like Poseidon and stuff like that. You know, you have Greek gods, but that's because it was part of their culture. They didn't see it as fantasy. It was real to them. They had to write about it. So, this is an extremely long book. It's a poem. So we wrote a poem, you know, it was about a page. Well, this one's about 679. So, no. So let's go ahead and start with book 1. This book is made out of 24 chapters. Each chapter is its own story, its own lengthy story. Let's go ahead and go over it. So book 1 is more of the, it's the beginning, it's the prologue, the narrator, right, because we can't say author, unfortunately. The narrator looks to Muse, which is like the inspiration for music and art and stuff like that. So the goddess Muse, arguably, apparently, you know, there's different muses, but the author, the narrator was writing about one. So he prepares to tell the story, and he kind of finishes the Iliad by saying everybody is returned home except for Odysseus, who is the main character of the story. So we have the introduction of Telemachus, or Telemachus, I don't know, there's like 50 ways to say all these words, so I'm sorry if I offended anybody. So we have Odysseus, who has not returned yet, because book 2 is the beginning of the actual story. Oh, that's just good. We'll talk about book 2 first. So we have the introduction of his son, Telemachus, and he gives a speech, and he's blaming Penelope, who is his mother, because she's not being committed. She has suitors all over the palace. They're violent, they're angry, and she makes an excuse for waiting for her husband to return home so she doesn't have to please any of the suitors by saying she's making a burial shroud for her husband. She's knitting a burial shroud. they don't know. She's weaving a barrel shroud, right? But nobody knows that at night she'll unweave it so that she never has to marry again. So the end of the chapter is the introduction of the actual story of Odysseus, where we talk about the oracle who sees that an eagle will come down and kill 20 of the suitors. And nobody knows what that means, everybody thinks it's just a dream, nobody understands. So then a mentor, an unknown mentor, a hooded robe, man, woman, anything, it could be anything, starts to give Telemachus speaking skills, unbelievable speaking skills, right? Unlike this world. Turns him into a leader. So the mentor turns out to be Athena, which is the goddess of wisdom. And when Telemachus is leaving, he has to leave the country. Athena protects him and his crew members, safe passage to the next country. So book 4, oh god, that's very hard to read. Telemachus and Pisistratus? They arrive in Sparta, and they're meeting, so he approaches as the son of Odysseus, but nobody really pays attention because Odysseus is almost a long forgotten story. When people talk about him, they refer to him as a legend, as a myth. So Telemachus starts talking about how his father will return home, and he's returning home soon. So the suitors who are waiting to marry Penelope, they're all angry, they're all jealous, so they're ready to ambush Odysseus when he comes back, but they have no idea how long this will be. So book 5 is the introduction of fish, the introduction of the gods, Mount Olympus. I really like this.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you make those photos or did you just got them? Okay. Creative Commons license. Okay, got
I
it.
did not make these pictures. So the gods meet on Mount Olympus and they discuss his fate. So right now Odysseus is trapped on an island with Calypso, who is, I don't know, there's not a great way to put this. She's a sex, nymphomaniac is a great way to put it. She's obsessed with having sex with mortals. It's control, it's power. So Hermes is sent to free Odysseus, and he tells her, you have no right to do this anymore, maybe by the order of the gods, and he's free. So instead of keeping him there, she sets him up with a ship and a crew to leave, but Poseidon is not happy about this, and he starts causing storms to kill Odysseus, because Odysseus, during the battle for Troy, offended Poseidon, and gods are eternal, so hold your courage. So when Poseidon does this, Calypso and Athena, who've already helped him again, so he's indebted to the gods, and rescue him and help him get to a nearby island. So this is really long, so I might speed this up a little bit because do this for hours. So Athena appears in a dream to the princess of this new country, home of the
Patience.
And so Athena comes to this princess in a dream and says, you need to go down by the river this morning, you're going to meet somebody, and you need to help him. So she goes down the river, Odysseus is there naked, and she comes with a bunch of servants, and he pops up, and he has no idea what's going on. Very concerned. Everybody is shocked, they've never seen him before. So Athena forces her to fall in love with Odysseus because she's a goddess. So she takes Odysseus up to the queen, and while they're walking up to the queen, Odysseus is disguised, so he's not revealed who he actually is. Midway through the city, Athena blows his cover because she's also crazy. And everyone in the city is shocked, right? You have this naked guy sitting there in the middle of the road, obviously coming out of nowhere. Anyway, so he's clothed, the queen gives him shelter. He asks Odysseus to marry his daughter because he's this fabled legend, right? This hero, but he declines. Very offensive. So anyway, time passes. A ship is prepared by the queen and another crew. So before he leaves, a bunch of soldiers, a bunch of noblemen challenge him to a competition, athletic competition, boxing, strength, running, everything. And he accepts the challenge all with the host, because if you beat the host in any competition, it's extremely rude and you're killed on the spot. So while this competition is going on in the background, there's a bard singing, and he's blind. And he sings about the battle of Odysseus and Achilles. So in the Roman tales, it's Achilles, but in Greek, it's Achilles. And so he talks about the battle, and during this, he's really just strengthened by listening to how he's told as a legend. And it's a real ego boost. So after the bard is singing, and he sees just how Odysseus is changed by it, and he starts asking the bard questions about how he knew all of this stuff, the king is suspicious, and he feels like that something's up. So he asks him who he is and where he was going. So the next day, this town of the Phaeacians are attacked by this. It's terrible. I do apologize. I have no idea how to say these words properly. So I'm going to say Sycamines. So the Sycamines attacked the town, and only the Odysseus and his crew managed to leave. He was taken to the land of the Lotus Eaters. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen Percy Jackson. Anybody? So it's these fruit that they grow there, and when mortals come and take from the fruit, they're addicted. All they want to do is eat the fruit. There's nothing on their mind. He forgets about home. They all forget. Odysseus wakes up from the trance, and in order to save his crew, he takes each crew member one by one and imprisons them on the ship until it wears off. That's not even the worst part. So after they leave, they think they're safe. They arrive at these mysterious, mist-covered islands, and it's home to the Cyclopes, or the Cyclops. And the crew members are starving, right? All they've had to eat is this lotus, and it just drains you of energy. So they look for food, and they find this cave full of sheep, hundreds of sheep. And so they all go there, they all take the sheep, but then this huge Cyclops walks in, who's the son of Poseidon. And as we already know, Poseidon hates Odysseus. So his son's not going to be real happy to see him either. However, he is nice to them, he is kind to them when they first walk in, and eventually he just is angry really easily. So he takes his crew members and he eats 2 of Odysseus' crew members, and they're all in prison. So, in order to escape, Odysseus has to decide what to do. So he makes this plan to lure Polyphemus out of his cave. So he distracts Polyphemus, and when Polyphemus asks, "Who are you? Why are you doing this?" he says his name is Nothing. So that when Polyphemus is screaming for help, he says, "Nobody's killing me. Nothing's happening," and things like that, in order to prevent other Cyclopes from coming towards him. So while he's distracted, takes a wooden stick and stabs Odysseus in the eye, he becomes blind, and then he escapes with his crew. While he's leaving, yes.
This question. Just a question. Are we gonna go through 24?
I can skip through all of these.
Well, I think it would be for essence of time because I have the other presenters. Could you maybe focus on the ones that you think are pertinent to? Yes. Thank you. Sorry to throw you off.
I totally understand. I should get to the
Can
main
you,
point, which is
PDF it and put it on Edmodo so that I don't have to
it's a 5-minute explanation,
change.
so,
Oh yeah.
you guys don't need break, right? If you guys can come in during break, I'll be here explaining all this. Totally optional, but I should. So book 20 is where Odysseus has finally returned home, and he finally meets his wife, who's totally over him now. And instead, the first thing she says to him is, "I'm finding a husband if you're alive or not." So he comes back from this 20-year journey, and she says that. He's heartbroken, but he assures Odysseus nothing's wrong, by the power of the gods, everything's going to be fine. So he asks Zeus for help, who's not really on his side either because he insulted Zeus in the previous books. And he responds with a thunderclap who distracts all the maids and all the workers and slaves inside the house. Everybody's terrified. So Odysseus returns and he has a dinner for his friends who all helped him return and for his enemies too. His enemies start getting cocky. It's some of the suitors for his wife when he was gone. And they start getting cocky and start calling names, but they don't realize that the walls are covered in the other suitor's blood, which is terrifying. And then once they figure that out, they realize they're doomed. So this is the main symbol of the book, is the bow of Odysseus, because it's a symbol of extreme strength and perseverance through all of this. No matter how he's been tormented, physically beaten, no matter what, he still has the strength that he is. And so in order for Penelope's wife to find a new husband, she has to set up these trials, and the main trial was shooting an arrow through 12 axles, which is insanely hard. Nobody can even string the bow to start the competition. All the suitors are embarrassed. They call off the competition until the next day. next day, Odysseus has the bow, strings it, he shoots it through the holes, Penelope is his wife. Immediately after the competition, Odysseus turns up all the suitors and shoots an arrow through the main suitor's throat, which is really violent. And this whole time he was disguised, right? In the previous books, he came to the island disguised. He now revealed himself to everybody. Everybody's terrified because he's this fatal hero in return, you know, and they're trying to talk to his wife, and well, he's mad. So he's angry, and he's charged by Eurymachus, who he then just drops with an arrow. And so they go down. His son goes down to the storeroom to find weapons to fight all the suitors. But with the door unlocked, the suitors got the weapons. But then Telemachus comes back and kills the suitors taking the weapons. And then Athena comes down to the battle, kills everybody, and then it's over. Just like that. So with this whole fight, Penelope was asleep and she doesn't know what's going on. She goes downstairs. She doesn't believe what's happening. She sees her husband, and he's in full battle mode, and she's really excited by this. And Telemachus yells at her because he's mad that when Odysseus, his father, returned after 20 years, she paid no attention and instead wanted to find a new husband. So after killing all the young noblemen in Ithaca, they decide to lay low for a while. Hermes takes all the dead souls to Hades, and then they travel back to Ithaca to see Laertes. But the point is, no matter what he went through, perseverance was the theme. Perseverance is one of the themes, the main theme, perseverance, because no matter what, he didn't give up, even though it was easy to. No matter when everything was against him, he didn't care. It was all about getting back to his family. I think family is the second theme because it was the strongest bond found in the story was his family. It was his driving motivation to get back to Ithaca. I know this isn't as funny as Austin's presentation. So, one of the main items found in not only this poem, but in Greek culture alone, is the family crest. So, let's talk about context a little bit. It's supposed to be family crest, but I want to see it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And good points. So, anyway, so this is the family crest. Funny because actually, my grandfather sent this to me, and I looked on Google and it was the same thing, so.
This is your family crest.
This is my family
Yes.
crest. Now, there's multiple ones, depending on which part of the room you're from. I think if you're from the north, it can change, but this is the main family crest. It's yellow and blue, gold and blue, which are royal colors. This is a darker blue, so it could be associated with royalty.
Yes.
But anyway, so the family crest is an important part of your culture because it determines everything about you, determines who you're going to be, determines what you can be. If you come from a family with wealth, you're going to be wealthy. That's how it is. You're associated with wealth. No social class, no group, no family ever ascends higher than what they are. People drop down lower. It's not possible. I mean, there's too many people fighting against you. Your family crest is who you are. Soldiers have on their shields, have on their swords, have on their armor. It was a part of who you were. You embraced it. And that's another thing. When you would die in battle, they would see what family crest you were wearing and know who died in battle. You had a certain family crest, and you could get it anywhere. You were accepted as royalty. You had another family crest, you were associated with trash. You couldn't get in anywhere. Nobody would let you in. Nobody would look at you. So it just all depended on who you were as a person. So I plan to do this. You plan to do color, but it's too hot. But that's okay. Anyway, so I guess that. About it.
Questions for Ramsey?
Let's go. Let's do this. Yes.
In the beginning, you said you couldn't say like the author is the narrator. Why
Right,
is that?
because we don't know for sure if the author's the narrator or not. The narrator could be another character in the story. We don't know who the narrator is. Yes.
Was there any meter or feat during the poem that was the poems that was predominant? Like, were they all written the same?
Look, what do you mean?
Was it like in iambic pentameter,
no.
or was
The
it in
poem, epic, is
tetrameter?
Right, no, it's not like that. It's a poem in the sense that it's hard to explain.
See, it's
I'm not really like
it's
adept
a
at this, but no,
hexameter.
it's not like
So it was just free form?
right. It's not like Dr. Seuss. It was totally different.
You're only turtle.
No.
Turtle was good in the pond.
Turtle and Myrtle is in the pond. Sorry, go ahead. Does somebody else have a question? I had a question regarding your family crest. So what is your ethnic background, your lineage, or where did you get the information from?
So I'm adopted, but so my entire family is from, I guess, their ancestors are from England, and so you'll see. Oh, I took it down. You'll see that the family crest not only shows your last name, but where you're from. This family crest. Okay, so if you want to look at this. So knights in English and British culture are associated with royalty. Even if you were a knight, you weren't considered a soldier. You were considered more of like, you were treated like a god. You can see it's associated with Britain because you see the lion. That's a famous British symbol, but it's usually red. And then right here you have England, which yes, it is England. But their ancestors are from England, I guess. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, thank you.
And the colors are important too.
Any other questions for Ramsey?
Thank you.
And again, I'm sorry to have rushed you through the epic, but I do want to get Rose up there and Celeste today. Rose, did you need some assistance or someone to help you hold something? Okay. Sure. And you are not using the iPad, correct? Celeste, can you go and check if your presentation works so that we'll be ready? Sorry, excuse me. We get out at 9:20, right? 9:24. I'm going to turn this off so that people don't see what you're doing. Oh. It has links to video or to
different slides because it's a game show.
Oh,
It's like Jeopardy.
got it. Oh, then it might not work. No. Okay, so bring your laptop and see if the connector works.
Okay.
And let's set that up while Rose is setting up. What is that one?
Amy, I sat down and I finished all the mine. Oh, thank you. You could have done one and getting a haircut. I did.
Amy, did you get a haircut?
Well, Amy don't have any games in there, and then I don't have time to edit it. So I don't know what I don't know.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So we're set there.
I did.
Wait, no, 29.
Wait, I got 30.
Congratulations.
Do you need help, Rose? Do you need?
Ron wins.
Gotta pay attention.
Okay, so I did something a little different because my book didn't really have like deep meaning other than criticizing and
What was the title and author, sir?
My book is Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. And so I just have visuals to kind of like keep it flow so you guys can understand it more. And then I also have donuts this time. So I do need one volunteer. Okay. So Gulliver Travels.
You're asking Amy to find the countries.
Where are you trying to go?
Where's the United States?
Okay, does anyone want a donut for showing me where England is?
I don't
About London. Ooh, I got it. Yeah.
Wait, we get donuts for answering questions?
Yeah, you can donuts for answering questions. Someone can answer your questions.
Reagan, it's on.
Reagan, no, sure. Well, I can't eat. I have more chocolate.
I like you.
No! Oh my god.
Those donuts, like, not have eggs in it.
Oh, crackers.
Thank you.
This is too much. Okay, so I'm going to stand on this side for now. Or I don't
You want a piece of paper?
I think
So Gulliver starts, he lives in England, and then the first place he goes to is Lilliput, which is a little island that's right around here. And then from Lilliput he goes to an island called Brobdingnag, and that one is on this side. And then from Brobdingnag he goes to Laputa, which is back over here. And then from Laputa, he goes to an island called Huninum, and that's right down here.
Oh.
So, now you're muted. So he goes to sea as a surgeon on the merchant ship called Amco, and then from there there's like a big windstorm, and then from there he swims to Lilliput, and he falls asleep.
What am I coming to?
So he falls asleep, and then he wakes up captured by the Isles of Innocence, who are 6 inches tall. So Gulliver wakes up captured by them. So although they're tiny, the Lilliput people possess all the pretensions and self-importance of full-size men. So they're mean, they're nasty, they're vicious, they're morally corrupt, hypocritical, deceitful, jealous, and envious. In other words, they're completely human. And Swift Lilliput to kind of mock specific events and people in his life. So the Emperor of Lilliput resembles King George the First. And the next political reference is a list of things found in Gulliver's pockets. So the Lilliput people, they go through all of his belongings and then they find a home, and they think that's a palisade. And this shows he's kind of mocking the evidence presented against Harley and Bolingbroke in 1715, who were forced into exile after being accused of treason. So the certain Whig commissioners did their best to like twist the letters and books of the accused into treasonable meanings. And Swift didn't approve of the sinister distortions that party passion can cause in a person's mind. Then another one. So while he's in Lilliput, there's jumping and crawling games, which in the book are innocent, childlike games. And the crawlers and jumpers perform for the amusement of the monarch, and they're rewarded with blue, green, and red ribbons. I lost my red ribbon. So blue and green. And then this represents the various orders of the Garter, the Bath, and the Thistle, which King George used these as cheap ways to buy political support from social climbers. So here Swift is kind of saying that politicians are always ready to degrade themselves by performing humiliating games and hoping for colored ribbons, money, or titles. And it's similar to society today because many politicians are willing to risk their value for money. And another one is the complicated method that Gulliver must swear to the articles, and this represents the Whig politics as trivial and annoying. So the Whigs attacked the Tories treatment because they said that the peace treaty was invalid since the royal warranty wasn't properly countersigned. So I need a volunteer. Ready? Representing the island. Okay. So at the Lilliputian court, Gulliver must hold his right foot in his left hand.
Wait, I don't have balance.
And place the middle finger of his right hand on top of his head, with the right thumb on the tip of his ear. Hold on. And he's going to be holding his pen in his head. And he was supposed to sign like a paper. If everything wasn't properly, like if the thumb wasn't properly on the ear, then it was considered invalid and the sworn loyalty would be questioned. Thank you, Lily. Yay.
Good.
Sophia, you want a chocolate one? Yeah. Okay, so that, and then the neighboring island of Lilliput is Belfushu. And Lilliput has been at war with this island because of a disagreement over which side to break the egg. So they've been at war because there was an old thing saying that you break the egg from the long side instead of like on the top. And then this one guy hurt himself while he was breaking the egg, so he changed that into breaking it the other way. So that's why these two split up.
Oh no, I'm cracking an egg.
And they've been at war over an egg.
Oh, nice.
And this symbolizes
The twin board
long
is supposed to
series of the
represent
war
something,
between
right?
the
I
Catholics
think so.
and Protestants.
What did you say?
Catholic and Protestant.
The Protestants?
Okay, so based from what I just told you, I need another volunteer to answer the question. Which side represents England and which side represents France?
England represents Protestant and France represents Catholic. Is that what you're asking?
Yes. So the religious war between the Lilliput and Belfusha also represent immediate European politics. So the two Lilliputian parties stand for English political parties. The high hills represent the Tories, and the low hills represent the Whigs. And the king was sympathetic to the Whigs, and he used them to support Hanover against France and appointed them to official positions to strengthen his position against the House of Lords. So the Lilliputian Empire wears low hills. And then there was stories. So these items. And in this chapter, Swift kind of talks about how the English politicians were bloody-minded and treacherous, and he explains the bloody and cruel methods that the people of Lilliput planned to kill Gulliver. And then he comments ironically on the mercy and decency of the king. For example, the Lilliput Empire, out of mercy, he plans to blind and starve Gulliver instead of killing him, which is a direct reference to King George's treatment to captured Jacobites. He executed them after Parliament had called him most merciful and clean. So that's Lilliput, and I'm going to show the right over here. And then the second land he visits.
What if we don't have enough time to take our game? Not now. Are you gonna be here on Thursday?
Does someone else want to come up and hold so I
Wait, you want to go in the donut?
Oh yeah, sorry. Totally forgot to do it. Yeah. Oh, Rachel. So the second land that he visits is Brobdingnag. And it's the opposite of Lilliput. And they're made up of giants. So it's a land of giants with a big moral stature who are 60 feet tall. And Brobdingnag is a practical moral utopia. There's goodwill, there's calm virtue. But when magnified, the giants are physically ugly, but they're morally beautiful. But the Brobdingnagian king says that mankind, he doesn't agree with Gulliver's views on the English, and because Gulliver's from England. And he calls humans vermin. So he says that mankind is the most pernicious race of little vermin that nature ever suffered to crawl upon the surface of the earth. And Swift kind of praises the Brobdingnians, but he doesn't intend for his readers to think that they're perfect humans. The virtues aren't impossible for humans to attain, but because it takes so much maturing to reach the stature of a moral giant, few humans actually achieve it. And there's not much that goes on in Brobdingnag besides Gulliver arguing with the king about whose views are politically correct. So the third island he visits is called Laputa. And it's actually a flying island. So it's levitating. And it's made up of magicians and mathematicians. So, in this chapter, Gulliver's description of the flying islands is a representation of papers often delivered to the Royal Society, which was kind of like an organization that received all the scientific experiments and stuff like that. And so here Swift is mocking the society's fondness for concrete, technical language, and the love for mathematical and deceptive mathematical diagrams. So Gulliver's enthusiasm for the astronomical discoveries of the people of Laputa represent the enthusiasm of the Royal Society for Halley's and other astronomers' observations. So mockery on people's pride and reason, which was valued over everything else, which he didn't believe in. And science was becoming a religion, and he found this unnatural.
I'm going to interrupt for just a little bit. So we are going to run out of time, and unfortunately, Celeste will have to present on Thursday, and we'll try to get that in the schedule with the evacuation drill. She has an interactive presentation that needs a block of time, I would say, right? Rose, as we're getting ready to wind down before the bell rings, though, because I want time for the audience to ask you questions as well. Can you make sure that you also tie the islands of the small, the Lilliputians, the Bigs, and the flying magical, mythical people to how that's relevant to today's society? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Laputa actually means means high, and Uta means governing. But in Spanish, it also means before. And this is a representation of Martin Luther King's famous reason description, that great whore reason. And Martin Luther was angry with reason because his opponents were using it to deny the Lutheran emphasis on faith. So beneath Laputa was Barbie. And so the king of Laputa controlled how much sunlight they get and how much rainwater they get. So he could actually lower the Laputa and crush the people of Barbie if he wanted to. And he uses the flying islands to kind of tyrannize the people of Barbie. And so he can cut off sunshine and rain. And the king's attacks on Barbie and his policies towards the Barbie represent the English crown's policies towards Ireland. So Barbie is a representation of Ireland. And cutting off the rain and the sun represents the royal parties that cut off the Irish trade. And that's kind of all that goes on in these two. Does anyone else want to hold it? Blue donut. Okay, so the next town he visits is actually part of Barbie. It's called Glub Dub Drib. And it's an island of magicians and sorcerers who are able to summon ghosts. So Gulliver summons men of historical importance. Like Aristotle. Alexander the Great. There's Aristotle and Caesar. And he argues that poetry and ancient philosophy are more admirable than other ways of gaining knowledge because they teach morality and decency. So Swift pits the ancient authors such as Homer and Aristotle against their commentators, and most of literary commentators and historians distort those who they write about. So Swift points to Didymus and Eustathius, who were ancient scholars who misread and misused Homer. And he also points to Scotus and Ramus, who misrepresented Aristotle. And after mocking the humanities and philosophy, he turns to the historians. So he says that history is the tool of politics and is misread and miswritten for selfish reasons. And to politicians, history lies about virtue, wisdom, and courage. So the last one he visits is Hume. So this land is made up of the superior race of horses. And the inferior race of humans. So Gulliver sees people who are ruled by reason and reason alone. They don't understand lies, which is the horse people, and they live a life of cleanliness and exist in peace and serenity. The horses manifest innocent human nature. What they do, say, and think is similar to human nature, but the horses' characteristics are very different from Gulliver's. And here Swift is mocking blind devotion and altering a virtue into a vice because Gulliver has come to idolize the horses, although they are not human, and he lacks the humility to see himself as a sort of Yahoo. The humans are called Yahoos, and then horses are just called humans. So Gulliver, he tries really hard to become one of the horses because he idolizes their reason, and then instead his pride leads him to try and become a horse instead of seeing himself as a sort of Yahoo, which he actually is. And so Swift positions Gulliver between symbols of sterile reason and symbols of gross sensuality. And that's the last one he visits. And so throughout his whole book, it's kind of an indictment among politicians, scientists, philosophers, and Englishmen. And Swift believed that people were generally ridiculous and petty, greedy, and proud, blind to the ideal of the mean, which was presented in one of his first major books. And then he didn't believe that the age of science was the triumph that a lot of people from his time did. He thought that science and reason needed limits and a good measure of humanism without absolute devotion. So he showed the impractical scientists of Laputa and the impersonal but absolutely reasonable horses, and he showed them as embodiments of science and reason carried to ridiculous levels. So he kind of wrote this novel to give his audience a new perspective by offering new insights into politics and the social acts of humans. And it's kind of relative to today because there's always going to be controversy in politics. And for example, like the mass shootings, the Paris attacks, Donald Trump, and all that, there's just always going to be some disagreements. And Swift was kind of doing his best to defend his side and kind of like show a new perspective to the Any questions?
I thought you were gonna then take like all the political candidates and like put them on each island kind of thing, you know?
So which island does Donald Trump live on, I guess? That's a question.
That's a good question.
He's on his own
He's on his own island. He won the
And Obama.
He owns this island.
And which one will be better?
So there's a lot of experiments. You guys can just come.
Wait, we'll pass those out at the very end. Do you guys have any questions for Rose?
Yes, I did.
Yes, a question?
I just asked.
Uh,
The Donald Trump question.
Oh, the Donald Trump question.
Okay, so you can win a donut if you tell me which island you think would represent Donald.
Laputa.
How come?
What?
What?
Hey.
Oh, Laputa?
That's
You
not
think?
cool.
That's the nicer translation for that
Mm.
word, by the way. Because
No, I think he's on the small people island.
The small people.
Small people.
Yeah. Oh,
Right. Vacation?
He's shady and like short and all that.
Short? Try to-
Is he not?
Maybe as a-
I think he's on the island with the horses and the greedy people, because he's kind of greedy and he doesn't want any immigrants to come into the country, and he's like, this is ours, and you know.
Oh.
anyone else?
It's debatable.
Why?
That was a good question. Okay, thank you. I'm going to have them help themselves to donuts in a little bit. Thank you for. Make sure you take your feedback and pass that to the speakers for today. We have our last presenter. Celeste will go on Thursday. Check Edmodo later. I will post the sign up for the potluck. And did everyone turn in your final evidence for the non-book book report question? Reflection. Oh, if you did your reflection, like you hand wrote your reflection for your project, that's fine. I'm collecting those. Remind me to. I always forget to ask for hard copy things. Amy, yes.
Question about the final.
Evidence.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you do not comment on the proposal and say that something is not good, then can I just use the English, science, and history standard from the proposal that I already proposed?
So I think you asked me a couple questions too, right? Last night on Edinburgh, like what do I put in that final evidence? So when part one of the proposal asked for literary standards, right? Evidence that you read the book. Majority of you put those quotes from your novel and started discussing or breaking down, deconstructing the theme in your proposal. So if you already have your literary standards met or your evidence that you've read or identified the two themes, whichever standards you chose, then you don't have to put that in your final presentation, your final assignment as evidence. However, if you had science standards that you maybe in your Socratic discussion, maybe that was your public sharing, and the science standards did not come out in the Socratic discussion, you may want to go back and pull some of that research that you use that will satisfy that. If you took a survey, if you used Kahoot, you did a survey and you wanted to then analyze the results that you got from the class, the percentages and the numbers as far as what was it this class that we covered feminism? No, it was another class, sorry. But that would be an example of submitting final evidence that meets the science standards based on survey that was done after whatever, the public presentation, okay? So did I answer that? Did I answer your question? Okay. Are there questions on the final evidence and or self-reflection? Those are the only two assignments left. Edline is down. Edline has been down for the past week. It's back up right now. Okay, do not check Edline because there will be thousands of entries done over the next 24 hours by many of the teachers on campus. Your Edmodo grades are probably will be more accurate than your Edline grades. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you have a question on any outstanding Edmodo assignments or if there's something that I graded that is incorrect, please let me know, and I will see you on Thursday. Okay. Can I get a round of applause for all the presenters today? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.